We all thought that Chrissy Lynn's unfortunate death in a vehicle accident was simply another accident, but now we have new proof that will leave you speechless. Hold on tight, people, because what we're about to unveil will leave your jaw dropping. Flips that assumption on its head, and it's not a coincidence either. New dashcam evidence has emerged, and guess what? It appears that someone was after her. This wasn't just any motorist, though. This was stalking at its best. Let's just say that the plot thickens more quickly than your morning coffee. Chrissy was no stranger to drama, particularly in the murky world of reality TV. But may her automobile accident have been something far darker? Did she realize anything? Was it all too much for her to bear, or was someone planning her demise for months or even years? We're going to analyze this explosive police dashcam tape that nobody has seen before. Want you to watch closely because what we're going to reveal will make you doubt everything you believe to be true about this terrible accident and the identity of Chrissy Lampkin. But first, buckle up, because what today's topic is difficult for the weak of heart. Chrissy Lampkin, the fiery and iconic queen of reality TV, passed away suddenly, but not in the way anybody could have predicted. While most people are for those of you who are grieving over what they believe to be a straightforward, terrible vehicle accident, fresh information is coming to light. And let me tell you, this is not just a car crash. Oh no, it appears that someone had it out for Chrissy. I don't know, or perhaps I've been living under a rock, but Chrissy wasn't just a reality star. She was an icon who stood tall, spoke her thoughts, and called out anyone who dared to cross her. From New York's hip-hop and love scene to Chrissy's connection with the renowned rapper Jim Jones was well known, and she became known for being fearless, unrepentant, and fiercely protective of her loved ones, particularly her partner. She was not your typical reality TV personality. Let's take a time to consider what actually happened to Chrissy. Was it a freak accident? Or are we looking at something far deeper that seems to be related to foul play based on the most recent findings of Chrissy's death? Does not appear to be a random tragedy. Rather, it was planned and intentional. Not to mention the terrifying remarks made by Jim Jones himself, who said that his last discussion with Chrissy before she died has left him haunted. What exactly did she say to him? I feel not okay. Her car was struck by another automobile a few minutes later. Is it just me, or does anyone else believe that something is seriously wrong with this dashcam footage? Has surfaced from Chrissy's automobile, and I must say that it's posing more questions than it is answering. The video shows a huge truck following Chrissy's car for what seems like an eternity. Don't get me wrong, accidents do happen, but it's really unnerving when a truck relentlessly follows a car and then crashes into it when the driver has nowhere else to go. But the strangeness doesn't stop there. This truck didn't just create a collision, but it seemed like an explosion, and the evidence is being ignored. So let me just ask why the vehicle was following her and why it didn't stop after the collision. This wasn't just any hit and run. This feels like purposeful harm, an accident where someone simply wasn't paying attention. And guess what? Jim Jones agrees. That man is still in shock over losing the love of his life in the worst horrible manner, and each fresh detail strengthens his conviction that this wasn't only an accident. But wait, this story is far from finished. We'll delve into the bizarre text messages and conspiracy theories Chrissy obtained in the days preceding the collision and the strange actions of the truck that was unable to leave her alone. But before we do that, let's discuss Chrissy's background and the reasons this tragedy is leaving a lasting impression. The world? This wasn't just a reality TV personality dying in a random accident. Chrissy was a person who had an influence and didn't hesitate to voice her opinions, even about her own romantic relationship with Jim. Over the years, we saw her develop and transition from heated arguments with other cast members to private times in which she relaxed with Jim. It's also important to remember her famous catchphrases, such as "whether you loved her" or "what if I told you that everything we believe to be true about Chrissy's death is incorrect? What if I told you that Chrissy may have been the victim of something far darker? I loved her, but you couldn't help but admire her." It's nearly impossible to comprehend how someone could have the gall to do this to someone like Chrissy, who was unquestionably a pillar of strength. Let's dive into the details of what we currently know about the sad disaster. The first reports after the accident said that it was a straightforward collision in which a car lost control. Chrissy was, and dash cam footage doesn't add up. Reveal presents an unsettling image of an aggressive pursuit rather than a simple accident. A big truck trailed Chrissy for 15 minutes prior to the deadly collision. Yes, 15 minutes. Does that seem unrelated? As you can see, the authorities have obtained the video from her vehicle and have verified our fears. The truck did not simply follow her. Rather, it struck her vehicle at such a high speed that it instantly hurt her. The force was so great that left everyone in complete shock. After the collision, why didn't the truck stop and try to assist? Was it an accident, or was the driver acting maliciously? We're just scratching the surface. Jim Jones, the man who previously talked about the last phone conversation he had with Chrissy before everything went terribly wrong, has revealed the first information of her last moments. Jim says that during that last contact, Chrissy informed him, "There's a truck following me. I don't think it's safe." This is the lady you love in a car, and she calls you in a panic, telling you she doesn't feel safe, and then she leaves. They're attempting to push me off the road. Can you even fathom the despair and fear in her voice? Jim, her loving boyfriend, attempted to reassure her, but as we all know, this story is not over. What does this tell us? Was it a freak accident, or was someone attempting to quiet Chrissy? The photo is still too fuzzy to view, but the dots are beginning to line up. Chrissy died minutes after the call. As we continue to investigate, it becomes increasingly apparent that Chrissy was the victim of something more sinister. However, the true question is, who would want to hurt Chrissy Lennon? Okay, let's keep looking into this because it's becoming far more suspect than anyone could have predicted. Was this a random act of violence, or are we dealing with a case, circumstance in which she was specifically targeted by someone? And as the story progresses, we're learning terrifying things that seem to suggest a far bigger conspiracy. Believe me, we're not talking about a single accident here. This is showing more, and more akin to a well-planned assault. Now, let's discuss the timeline. We know that Chrissy was monitored by this enigmatic truck for 15 minutes, which raises suspicions about why somebody would follow her for that long. Long time. Could it be that the truck driver knew something about Chrissy's whereabouts, or was this a coincidence? The vehicle wasn't simply following her. It was aggressively closing in on her. And here is where further disturbingly, this wasn't a matter of, oh, the truck just lost control. Instead, the truck struck her automobile intentionally. That's the part that's disturbing. The investigation's anonymous sources are telling us that the truck in question belonged to an unidentified corporation, which raises serious concerns. But wait, it gets even stranger. Been connected to some dubious activities in the past. I don't want to speculate just yet, but when you start to piece things together, they don't seem so innocent anymore. What if the business had a grudge against Chrissy, or even worse, imagine if someone powerful hired them to carry out this attack? Let's consider this. Chrissy was not a little-known celebrity. She was a formidable force that we all saw on television. But behind the scenes, she had her own set of butt. As anybody who has followed Chrissy's career knows, she was never afraid to speak up and never backs down from a fight, whether it was in her personal life or on reality TV. As a result, it's easy to believe that someone in her orbit might have had a motive to want to bring her down. And then there's Jim Jones, who has been saddened by Chrissy's passing, but is now beginning to doubt it, as evidenced by recent interviews. That Chrissy's death was a straightforward accident, and he has been voicing his worries that someone intended to permanently silence her. Jim Jones' own suggestion that Chrissy was singled out is, we're talking about a man who spent years with Chrissy and knows her better than anybody else. So if he's claiming that something was strange about her death, it's worth hearing. But here's where things get even more complicated with the police inquiry. You may believe that the authorities are making every effort to find the truth, but sources say that there has been tremendous opposition because the truth is beginning to surface. Some police officers are opposed to the inquiry becoming public. They are working to put an end to it before it receives any additional attention. Investigations into well-known fatalities have been halted on multiple occasions for reasons we will never fully comprehend. So this is not the first time we've seen something similar occur. Concentrate only on the police, as there are other aspects of this case that make it even more terrifying. For example, Chrissy's phone records, which were leaked to the media by an unnamed source, show something extraordinary. She had been getting eerie and threatening text messages in the days preceding the disaster. These texts came from an untraceable number, but the tone was unsettling. One message in particular sticks out. "You'll never see it. Approaching, but your time is near." That's a clear threat, and it's difficult to claim that this wasn't a targeted attack, but who may have sent these messages and why that's the case. Many are wondering if these communications could have been from someone close to Chrissy, someone who was aware of her whereabouts, schedule, and, most importantly, her weaknesses. Was this an entirely random act of violence, or was it a jealous associate, a business competitor, or someone she had crossed in her career? Let's not forget the strange behavior displayed by the truck driver we've all seen. Cam footage from other crashes, but Chrissy's crash film is disturbingly different since the truck that struck her car didn't stop or even attempt to help it. Instead, it rushed away, leaving Chrissy's car crumpled and dead in the middle of the road. Nobody knows for sure why the driver did that. Was it because they were obeying orders or because they believed they could get away with it? However, we do know that the driver's actions were deliberate, and they had no justice is now more important than Chrissy's terrible death. And as the inquiry goes on, it becomes more obvious that the authorities aren't giving this case the attention it needs. People are beginning to demand answers. Why is this case so secretive? Why are vital pieces of evidence being kept from the public? More significantly, why aren't we hearing more from those closest to Chrissy? Jim Jones's family and friends have been strangely silent, which raises some significant questions. However, don't expect the truth to be revealed easily. It seldom is. The more we learn, the more we see that this isn't just a straightforward case of it. This is a case of accident gone wrong that is being hushed up. And the more the police attempt to hide the facts, the more suspicious it all appears to be. It's beginning to feel like a conspiracy, not just a small one, but a full-scale cover-up of epic proportions now. Let's take a moment to think about this. Chrissy Lampkin didn't simply die in a random crash. There was a much darker element at work here, and as the story progresses, it becomes increasingly clear that she was targeted. But who did this and why? That's the question we'll be answering next. Stay tuned because we haven't even begun to explore this terrifying case, and things are going to get even more disturbing as we dig further and deeper. It's beginning to take shape, but sadly, the deeper we go, the murkier the waters get. Chrissy Lynn's was not an accident, and the details surrounding it only grow more complex every day, but now it's not only about finding the person responsible for that fatal day. Is about exposing the powers that are doing everything in their power to keep this narrative hidden. Why is this investigation being purposefully delayed? The silence from why is it taking law enforcement so long to put the pieces together? We've all seen how swiftly they can move on cases when they want to consider how quickly they resolved some of the biggest scandals in history. There is a big problem with Chrissy's case, and it is beginning to appear increasingly severe. Why are important witnesses not coming forward? And why are the authorities acting as though they are doing all in their power to keep the matter under wraps? Similar to a cover-up rather than an inquiry, but let's examine the consequences of a case of this size being overlooked by the very individuals tasked with protecting us. First, we have Jim Jones. Though he may not have all the answers, Chrissy's long-term companion has been vocal about the investigation's lack of progress and has expressed frustration with the chaotic and lengthy process. One thing is evident from the answers. Jim has been on the front lines and is not backing down in his demands for justice, not only for Chrissy, but for everyone who has ever been silenced by influential people who believe they can get away with anything. Battling for the truth, but he's beginning to feel like he's running against a brick wall. Jim's worries extend beyond the inquiry. He's expressed that he believes certain people in their circle knew something was about to occur. but nobody paid heed to it. How often do we hear about warnings before a tragedy occurs? James has described how this whole experience has shook him to his core, and it's beginning to have many wonder, was Chrissy really a target all along? Let's now discuss the public outcry. As people begin to wonder how, the media has been ablaze with theories about this conspiracy, and some people even claim that Chrissy's death was planned by influential people in the entertainment world who didn't want her to be successful. People who might have had commercial interests in keeping Chrissy out of the spotlight have speculated that she was too much of a threat to the status quo and that someone felt she needed to be removed. And then there's the problem. Of the leaked dashcam film, you thought it was all over after the crash, didn't you? The publicly available tape has shown a lot more than just a series of events that preceded the clip has been called bone-chilling, and once you view it, you can't stop. It shows Chrissy's car swerving wildly, and there's a black shadow of the truck that follows her, almost like it's stalking her. I can't help but wonder whether Chrissy was being stalked prior to the collision. The video has sparked concerns about the lack of accountability. How come the truck driver wasn't taken into custody right away after the collision, chased the vehicle after it drove away? As more people view this video, more concerns come up. Did the police know more than they were disclosing? Could they have apprehended the driver but decided not to? The truth may be staring us in the face, but for reasons we don't yet know, it's being concealed. Now, let's discuss the repercussions of the public's fury and the pressure on the authorities to figure this out. Although in theory, a member of law enforcement should be leading this investigation and investing the time and money necessary to hold people accountable, we're increasingly witnessing indications that a system is being because the ruling class is prepared to stop at nothing to safeguard their interests. Some experts are now suggesting that the issue may never be heard in court. Even worse, we learned that powerful figures in the entertainment sector have begun discreetly withdrawing from Chrissy's case. Could it be that these alleged pals were merely desiring Chrissy's notoriety? The industry is a chilly place, and now that she's gone, they're cleaning their hands of her. It appears that Chrissy's life and death may have been just another pawn in a larger game, but this is where it gets even worse. We're still sitting here with no concrete answers, which is frustrating because there's a growing sense that nothing will happen despite all the leaked material, dashcam footage, unresolved questions, and public outcry. We are left wondering how long it will take for Chrissy's narrative to fade into the background because the case has gone cold. How many other cases have been dismissed similarly, and are we really going to overlook this one? Down as just another unresolved mystery. And here's the last straw. The people who ought to be most concerned about this case, those closest to Chrissy, have been eerily silent. Where are the true answers, and why are all of her friends? It's beginning to seem like there's a bigger conspiracy at work here, so why aren't her family members speaking up? Did they know more than they've revealed? If so, why aren't they speaking up? Encompasses more than just a hit-and-run incident. Is it possible that those closest to Chrissy were entangled in a far more sinister web of deception than we ever could have imagined? As we come to a climax, there is one thing we are certain of: the tale of justice has not been served. And as more information becomes available, we might be seeing the start of a much bigger scandal. Will the truth ever be revealed, or will this case be forgotten? Chrissy Lampkin's death is far from done. Time will tell, just like with so many others before, but we will definitely be watching closely because no matter how hard they attempt to hide the truth, we won't back down. What do you think? Was this could Chrissy's death have been a terrible accident or something much more sinister? Could the truth be closer than we think? Please share your ideas in the comments section below, and remember to like, subscribe, and click the bell symbol for more startling discoveries as we keep revealing the reality behind the headlines. And there you have it, people. The mystery grows, and every step generates more questions than it does answers. But what's the real story? Was this just a sad accident, or was there a darker side to this? Could the authorities be concealing something? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Do you believe this was a freak accident? Alternatively, is there a sinister covert plan behind Chrissy Lampkin's passing that the public is not aware of? If so, how far does this conspiracy take? From over, and we must continue the conversation. Please share this video with your friends, spread the word, and ensure that everyone is aware of the situation. We must demand answers, and we won't stop until we receive them. So hit that click the like button if you believe there's more to the story, and don't forget to press the subscribe button if you want to be informed of the most recent developments and startling disclosures that the mainstream media won't tell you. Notification bell to avoid missing anything the truth about any of the juicy facts is, and we'll locate it out there. Together, keep checking back because there's more. You're going to receive some startling revelations. Keep asking, keep researching, and we will return soon with more.